As they said regarding the ceasefire, they are ready for a ceasefire of 2 or 3 days to retrieve the dead from the battlefield. I think they're idiots because basically a ceasefire is meant so that there are no casualties in the first place. So you see their attitude. For them, it's simply a matter of taking a short pause in the war. That's why we really hope that our American partners will take decisive steps to push the sanctions package through the Senate and use strong sanctions to force the Russians into a ceasefire. They don't understand any other way for now, and we believe this is fair. Okay, so, first of all, the Bucharest summit has ended for us. The Bucharest Nine and the Nordic countries. Ukraine was invited. I am grateful to Lithuania. I believe we achieved a sufficiently substantive good result. We had a meeting with the NATO Secretary General. We have been invited to the NATO summit. I think this is important. Right now, the ministry is busy meeting with their colleagues, discussing infrastructure and what results might come from this summit in The Hague. Next, I met with the Prime Minister of Norway. We discussed a couple of issues beforehand that are important for Ukraine right now. I received a positive signal from him. This concerns gas. If we have a shortage in winter, can we count on the necessary volume? Today, I received support from Jonas, and we will find or have already found a solution. So this will be available to Ukraine. Next, I also received a positive response regarding additional funding for drone production in Ukraine. Then I had my first meeting with the President of Romania, the new President of Romania. Under the new President's policy, Romania will support Ukraine as a future member of both the EU and NATO. We agreed that the President will visit us. I think his visit will take place soon this summer. Next, I spoke with the Prime Minister of Finland, and we discussed a new defense package. I received a positive response, so there will be packages from him and from Lithuania. After that, we talked and met with Andrzej Duda. You know that elections were held in Poland today. I congratulated them on the conclusion, the end of the electoral process in Poland. Andrzej will remain in office until the 5th, I recall, until the 5th or 6th of August. And he's the acting president. And before that, there will definitely be Andrzej's final visit to Ukraine. We are waiting for him. We also received support from Denmark, from the Prime Minister, from Met. So regarding the meeting, those are important and positive for us. At the same time, there was a meeting of the Ukrainian team led by Defense Minister Umerov in Istanbul. So what was agreed upon? Well, there will be an exchange of our soldiers. It will be 1,000 for 1,000. There may also be an additional 200 for 200 because Ukraine raised the issue of additional soldiers as well as political prisoners and journalists too. Since you have been constantly appealing, we have raised all these issues, and we will exchange separate lists with the Russians this week. And there will also be verification. We hope that this time they will behave at least somewhat appropriately and will provide the lists in advance regarding the exchange. The Russians have also stated that they are ready to hand over the bodies of our fallen soldiers, 6,000. Our side has agreed to hand over 6,000 bodies of Russians to the Russian side, but it is very important to study this issue thoroughly. I mentioned this to Defense Minister Umerov. Why? Because, as was said, as we have learned among these 6,000, 15 identified Russians are missing. It is very important to check everything, but we absolutely must take back all of our own. However, there was already one occasion when they handed over bodies and among them they also included their own dead Russian soldiers. In other words, they gathered something there, At first they didn't retrieve people from the battlefield, they just left them, and then, later on they supposedly collected them. That's why it's very important. What I'm saying is that the exchange of bodies is important. Our side will look at this very carefully, and there will be an exchange. Next, the Russian side, the exchange rule. In fact, it's called that we exchange memorandums. If you know, we sent our memorandum in advance, 5 days before the meeting, in electronic format, how we see today's and the next steps. They have now sent theirs. I haven't received any feedback from Umarov yet. He's on his way with a report flying, and I'll be speaking with him tomorrow in Kiev, and I think we'll definitely share the information. Next, regarding the children, we handed over a list of almost 400 children, Russian. They suggested that we work on something in this direction for up to 10 children. This is their vision when it comes to humanitarian issues. So, we will be checking all of this. You know how they are. I really would like our journalists, our people, and not just our journalists, to understand their attitude toward the humanitarian aspect. So first of all, they told us not to, as they put it in Russian, put on a show for childless European grandmothers regarding our concerns about raising the issue of children. And we told them that you stole 20,000. And they replied that they hadn't stolen 20,000. At most, the issue was about hundreds. Our team was offended by this, but to be honest, I'm not offended. I think it's an important point to note. Not the number, but the very fact that they admit they stole children. That's it. We believe it's thousands, and they said we didn't steal thousands. The issue is about hundreds. The important thing is that the fact has been recorded. And now, about the ceasefire. So, you know that we haven't changed the agenda. An unconditional ceasefire, prisoner exchange, return of children, return not exchange, but return of civilians, return of children. And then it's the meeting of the leaders. Regarding the meeting of the leaders, Umarov told me that they believe it's possible to work on this for the end of this month or the beginning of the next. I'm just sharing with you the information I have. And as for the ceasefire, basically, they just don't see such a ceasefire happening yet. As they said regarding the ceasefire, they're ready for a ceasefire of 2 or 3 days to retrieve the dead from the battlefield. I think they're idiots, because basically a ceasefire is meant so that there are no casualties in the first place. So you see their attitude. For them, it's simply a matter of taking a short pause in the war. That's why we really hope that our American partners will take decisive steps to push the sanctions package through the Senate and use strong sanctions to force the Russians into a ceasefire. They don't understand any other way for now, and we believe this is fair. After all, this is the 5th month. It's now the 5th month since the United States of America gave its signal for a complete ceasefire, and we support them.